The old Victorian house stood tall and imposing. Its brick facade hinted at countless stories whispered within its walls. Elizabeth and Tom, a young couple in love, were ready to write their own chapter. Excitement bubbled in their chests as they crossed the threshold, eager to turn the house into their home. "What a find!" Elizabeth exclaimed, her voice echoing in the vast entrance hall. Tom smiled, his eyes scanning the intricate details of the house. He couldn't shake off a strange feeling, a prickle of unease that whispered beneath his excitement. The air felt heavy, laden with unseen history. Tom pushed against the wall, revealing a faint outline of a hidden door. Dust rained down as the old frame creaked open, revealing a darkened room beyond. Elizabeth, drawn by the sound, gasped. A secret room. Her voice held a mix of curiosity and apprehension. The air inside the room was stale and cold, despite the summer heat outside. Dust motes danced in the single ray of sunlight slicing through the doorway. As their eyes adjusted, a chill ran down their spines. Before them lay a child's bedroom, perfectly preserved as if frozen in time. A rocking horse stood frozen mid-gallop. A dollhouse, its tiny furniture meticulously arranged, sat atop a small table. Children's drawings, full of life and colour, adorned the walls. But the air hung heavy with an unsettling silence, the joyous echoes of laughter and play replaced by an eerie stillness that sent shivers down their spines. "This doesn't feel right," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the pounding of her heart. Tom reached for her hand, his own apprehension battling with a growing sense of unease. What had happened in this room, and why was it sealed away, hidden from view? As days passed, the room became an unspoken secret between them. Elizabeth tried to ignore its presence, throwing herself into redecorating the other rooms. But Tom found himself drawn back to the hidden door, compelled by an invisible force. He felt an unsettling connection to the room's past, a pull towards the unknown. He began to notice things, subtle occurrences that sent chills down his spine. Footsteps echoed in the hallway at night, though they were alone in the house. Laughter, faint and high-pitched, seemed to emanate from the sealed room, disappearing as quickly as it came. He didn't tell Elizabeth, afraid to alarm her, but the feeling of dread intensified. One evening, while Elizabeth was out, Tom found himself standing before the hidden door once more. He hesitated, his hand hovering over the old handle. A wave of dizziness washed over him, and for a moment he could have sworn he saw a young girl standing in the doorway, her face pale and her eyes filled with an unearthly sadness. He blinked, and the apparition was gone. He couldn't shake off the image, the lingering sadness in the ghostly girl's eyes. He knew he couldn't ignore this any longer. He had to uncover the truth behind the hidden room, the tragic story that haunted its silence. The next day, Tom delved into the local archives, searching for any information about the house's history. He unearthed a faded photograph of the original family who had lived there, a stern-looking couple and a young girl with hauntingly sad eyes. The caption identified them as the Harringtons. Further research revealed a tragic tale. The Harringtons' daughter, Amelia, had died in the house at a young age. The cause of death was listed as an accident, but rumours swirled around the family, whispers of an overbearing father and a melancholic mother who had never recovered from the loss. As Tom pieced together the fragments of the past, the supernatural occurrences in the house escalated. The laughter became more frequent, echoing through the halls even during the day. Cold spots settled in certain rooms, the temperature dropping instantly despite the warmth of the day. Elizabeth, no longer able to deny the strange happenings, grew increasingly unnerved. One night, a piercing scream ripped through the house, jolting them both awake. Elizabeth trembled in fear, clutching onto Tom. The scream, filled with an unimaginable sorrow, seemed to originate from the hidden room. Tom knew they couldn't ignore it any longer. He had to confront the secrets trapped within those walls. Armed with a crowbar and a flickering lantern, Tom pried open the hidden door once more. Elizabeth, her face pale but resolute, followed closely behind. The room seemed to pulsate with an unseen energy. The air crackled with a palpable tension. As they stepped inside, the rocking horse suddenly sprang to life, its wooden body swaying rhythmically, as if propelled by an invisible hand. The haunting melody of a music box, its tune eerily familiar yet unknown, filled the room. Elizabeth gasped, her hand flying to her mouth to stifle a scream. Suddenly the air grew thick, and a translucent figure began to coalesce before them. It was a young girl, her form shimmering like heat haze. Her eyes, filled with a profound sadness, locked onto Elizabeth's. "Help me," she whispered, her voice a mournful sigh that sent shivers down their spines. Amelia's ghostly presence filled the room, her sorrow palpable. Slowly, she began to recount the tragic events that led to her demise. Her father, a stern and controlling man, had kept her confined to the house, her only solace the toys in her room. Her mother, consumed by her own grief and unable to stand up to her husband, had withdrawn into herself. One day, in a desperate attempt to escape her suffocating existence, Amelia had tried to sneak out of the house. Her father, enraged by her defiance, had accidentally pushed her down the stairs. Horrified by what he had done, he had concealed his crime, bricking up her room to hide his terrible secret. Amelia's tale dripped with a heart-wrenching sorrow, her ghostly voice echoing the pain and loneliness she had endured in life. Elizabeth, tears streaming down her face, felt a surge of empathy for the young girl trapped in her eternal purgatory. Tom, his heart heavy with sympathy, vowed to help Amelia find peace. "He's here." Amelia's image flickered, her form growing fainter. A bone-chilling cold seeped into the room, replacing the sorrow with a palpable sense of dread. The temperature plummeted, and the air crackled with malevolent energy. A dark figure began to solidify in the corner, its form contorted with rage and guilt. It was Amelia's father, his spectral form radiating a chilling aura, his eyes burning with a cold fire locked onto Tom. "You shouldn't have seen that. It's time for you to find peace, Mr. Harrington. Your secret is out. You can't hide from what you did any longer." The spectral figure lunged, its icy fingers reaching for Tom's throat. Elizabeth screamed, her voice echoing in the small room. "Run!" Tom shoved Elizabeth towards the door. He grappled with the apparition, its touch sending a jolt of icy pain through his body. Elizabeth hesitated, torn between escaping and helping Tom. "Go! I will hold him off! Get out of the house!" Elizabeth, her heart pounding in her chest, scrambled out of the room, slamming the hidden door shut behind her. She could hear the sounds of struggle from within, the muffled roars and crashes sending shivers down her spine. She ran, her lungs burning, her feet pounding on the wooden floor. Down the stairs she flew, the house seeming to groan and shift around her. She burst out of the front door and into the cool night air, gasping for breath. She didn't stop running until she reached the safety of her car. Elizabeth huddled in her car, her body trembling uncontrollably. She waited for what felt like an eternity, but Tom didn't emerge. Fear gnawed at her, amplified by the eerie silence emanating from the old house. Had he escaped? Or had Amelia's father trapped him within the house's haunted walls? As the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness, Elizabeth finally worked up the courage to approach the house. She cautiously made her way inside, her heart pounding with a mix of hope and dread. The house was silent, the air thick with a lingering sense of unease. She found Tom in the hidden room, slumped against the wall, his eyes closed. He was alive, but unconscious. Relief washed over her as she rushed to his side. As she helped him to his feet, she noticed something strange. On his arm, where the apparition had touched him, was a mark, a series of 3 long, thin scratches that weren't there before. They left the house that day, never to return. The experience had shaken them to their core, leaving them with more questions than answers. What had happened to Amelia's father? Had he found peace after revealing his secret, or was he still trapped within the house's walls, his essence bound to the site of his crime? Elizabeth and Tom tried to move on, to rebuild their lives after the harrowing encounter, but the house and its secrets continued to haunt them. The mark on Tom's arm served as a constant reminder of the terrifying events they had experienced, a physical manifestation of the supernatural realm they had glimpsed. The old Victorian house still stands, its windows dark and empty. Some say it remains haunted by the ghosts of its past, by the spirits of Amelia and her parents, forever trapped in their tragic tableau. But the truth of what truly transpired within those walls, the full extent of the secrets hidden beneath its eaves, remains a mystery, one that continues to send shivers down the spines of those who dare to whisper its name. The end.